Hi, everyone. I'm Josh Oakes, and I'm excited on this podcast on smartsocial.com to talk about a digital detox. It's something we all need to do. We all have these devices in our pockets or in our hands or wherever, and you might even be listening to us today on this. And I want to talk to you about how to disconnect a little bit. I have an awesome student here today. She was an attendee in one of the speeches at one of my favorite schools, and she has now done something really incredible. She's going to share some data with us. Now, if you haven't done this, anybody listening today, first of all, before we get to our great guest here today, please consider going and getting your student if you want. This is a student-friendly episode. I think all of our episodes are student-friendly, but today we're going to talk about how to disconnect a little bit, have more fun in life. We're not about telling you what not to do, but rather how to enjoy life a little bit more with these amazing tools that we have with a purpose instead of just a pastime. So go get your student. We're talking about how to get more done in life, have more fun, communicate more with our friends, strengthen relationships, and really just get a little bit more sleep, be more active, and be more happy with who we are as a person. And I think you'll enjoy that. And that'll mean more at the end of this episode. Today, we have Natalie Greenwood from Westlake Academy in Texas. Natalie, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
Now, this is your second time on because we talked in the beginning, you were setting up a digital detox. You built a website, you started a project, and I want you to tell me really quickly, you've gone through this detox. It was a week or so. And I want you to tell us how many people signed up for it and kind of how it went real quick. Give me your overview. And then we're going to look directly at your data. We're going to show everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you are, give us a thumbs up, everybody. If you're watching us on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. Tag somebody below who might be an educator or a parent or a student or whatever. Tag them below. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere else, subscribe, because we want to hit you all summer long to make sure we're bringing you up to speed. Okay, Natalie, what did you do?
All right, so I created the social media digital detox, and my goal for participation was 100 students, and 175 people signed up for my digital detox, or 100 people signed up for the digital detox, and 102 have filled out the pre and post detox survey, which is how I've collected all of the data.
Awesome.
Participants were from several places within Texas. There was a few from New York, Florida, South Carolina, and I had 6th through 12th graders with a couple college students and parents and teachers from my school. Okay,
recap. So 175 people at your school, or 175 people from all over. A lot of them were at your school. They said, I want to take part in this, right? They got some credit. Schools, if you're following along right now, I think we're going to do this in the fall. And I think Natalie's going to be a big part of advising us. And we're going to have some students from all other schools. But Natalie gave school credit of some sort. We can talk about that a little bit later, or you can go into that if you want. But basically, there was a reward, and we as humans, we like rewards. Even if it's something we need, we like a reward on the back end. So 175 people said, I want to try this out. That's awesome. 102, so they had a pre-survey and a post-survey. We're going to go through the data on those. 6th to 12th graders, which is amazing, middle school and high school. A lot of interesting data. So walk us through some of the data you found interesting.
Yeah, so the most interesting portion of the data was the contrast between what people said they felt before the detox and in the post-detox, where I asked people what they felt after completing the detox. So in order to gather this data, I had 2 lists of 12 different emotions. There was 1 list per survey. So 6 were positively focused, 6 were negatively focused. And the only difference between the emotions was that I also included a no change box for emotions on the post-detox.
Got it.
The 3 most common emotions people said that they felt before or during social media use before the detox were happy, informed, and accepted. And the 3 most common emotions people said after completing the detox were productive, more focused, and satisfied. And this data is really interesting because the majority of people felt happy or accepted during or after social media use, but then felt satisfied after detoxing from social media for a week. Or it's interesting that people felt informed during or after social media use, but then felt more productive or focused after detoxing from social media for a week. And what I think this data suggests is that people really need to find a proper balance of purposeful social media usage in their lives, which was the overarching theme of the project, which also directly lines up with my preliminary research. And to put very simply, said too much social media is a bad thing.
All right. Natalie, you are amazing. Okay, let's dive into this. And everybody that's watching right now, this is easy to do. We're going to look directly at the data. With Natalie's permission, we have randomized this. There's no personally identifiable information, but out of the one on the left, you're seeing the pre-survey results of choose the most common emotions you feel during or after social media. On the right-hand side, those of you that are watching on YouTube or Facebook, you're seeing the post-survey details. If you're listening to us, we're going to walk you through this. You can also go to smartsocial.com and see this video, or follow us on YouTube. Okay, do you mind if I run through this real quick? Just to,
go for it.
Because you're really close to this data. I want to digest it as an outsider. Yeah. So beforehand, 176 people filled it out. Now, we've talked about this before, but 68% of people said social media during and after I feel happy, which you really nicely pointed out. You get that dopamine hit. It's almost like, how do you feel, students, when you have sugar, right? Which I love. I have a problem with ice cream and donuts, and I don't eat donuts, but I eat ice cream. I feel happy. And that's the same thing we feel with ice cream, with social media, right? The click of dopamine, but they also feel informed, which is interesting. So 50% of people feel informed, but 68, almost 70% of people feel happy. Now, it's interesting to note that 20% of people say they feel accepted. So people could fill out more than just one here. Is that correct?
Right. They could pick as many as they want.
They could check them all if they wanted, but they picked happy. And then about 18 to 20% also clicked the following people. So you could have clicked happy, and then you could have clicked another one. And here's the other ones where they checked a lot. Stressed, jealous, 15%. Competitive is 18%, accepted is 20%, liked is 18%, disappointed is 13%. So it's interesting to note that somebody could have picked, I feel happy, but then also competitive, happy and also accepted, happy and stressed, happy. There's a lot of other meanings. Now I'm going to dive on in, and I'm going to jump ahead to what people felt like after. Is that okay?
Yeah.
On the right-hand side, choose the most common emotions you felt after the detox. So people felt happy and informed before. There's a lot of negative ones, so they spread them across. But let me show and tell how people felt afterward. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go full screen, or on Facebook so you can see the data. Choose the most common emotions. Number one, productive. People felt productive because the detox made them feel more productive. Number two, more focused. Number three, 50% satisfied. So productive was 62%. More focused was 59%. 50%, half of the people out of 102 responses, important to note, 176 people went into the detox, only 102 followed up, which is fine. You got 100 pieces of data. Half of those 100 people felt satisfied, more than half productive, more than half focused, or more focused than before. Now let's dive on in a little bit more. The next most common was 37% said refreshed. That's awesome. 30% says rested. 28% said reduce stress. And 25% said disconnected, which was important because I took a detox last year, in August of last year. I'm going to do another one this summer. And disconnected isn't always bad. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not a bad thing to feel after a detox.
Yeah. And we're actually going to look at how disconnected can mean I don't care about FOMO. I don't care about the fear of missing out. Okay. Let's dive back on into your data if we could. Anything else you're able to surface? So I'll let you go through this.
Yeah. So during the detox, I encouraged participants to look for opportunities to deepen or strengthen relationships. And so I wanted to gather data based on social media usage in the presence of others, like your family or friends. So I asked, what % of the time when you are with your family or friends are you looking down at your phone on social media? And the implication of this question was that you're disconnected from the actual physical relationship. And the majority of the responses said 25%, but I think it's probably higher because either it's not something people pay much attention to, like a habit, or I think based off personal observation that it would be at least 50%, if not over. But I think sometimes it's hard for people to admit that to themselves. And I was encouraged by some of the comments I got back because participants said that they did, in fact, deepen a relationship or strengthen a relationship with their family or friends. And that shows the impact that social media is having on our generation.
Amazing. You got another point too.
Yeah. So as I looked through all the data, the universal theme that connected everything was time. We all have such little time in our day-to-day lives, so there is a cost associated with spending such large percentages of that time on social media. And much is being sacrificed, like skills, relationships, and overall mental health, and more stuff like that. And as I was, collecting all this data and figuring out what it all meant, I read an article about the Texas Tech basketball team, the men's team, had their team captain advise their team to take a break from their devices so they were not distracted and could be 100% focused on the NCAA tournament. And interestingly, they were in the championship game. And so I definitely think that there is a correlation between the two.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the last key finding.
Yeah, so the last question I asked people on the pre-movement survey was, do you think giving up social media would be, and then I had 3 check boxes, either very challenging, somewhat challenging, or easy. 57% said somewhat challenging, 17% said very challenging, and 25% said easy. And then on the post-detox survey, I asked if participants found taking a detox from social media to be of value. And 80% of those participants said yes, 16% said they weren't sure, and just 3 out of 102 said no. And that's not even 2%. And on the same post-detox survey, I asked the participants if they would support an annual 1-week social media digital detox. And 82% said yes, 13% weren't sure, and only 4 people out of that 102 said no. And so I thought the correlation between the two of taking a break, if it was hard or not, but then finding it to be of value, was really interesting.
I love it. Okay, so just to recap, everybody listening right now, 80% of participants said yes, taking it, this was of value, and 16% they weren't sure. I mean, that's a majority of people. That's 8 out of 10 people said this is helpful. That's unbelievable. And then you asked participants if they support an annual one. 82% of them said yes, I would support doing this each year, which is unbelievable. That's amazing. Let's go take a look at some of the answers people had real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Or we could go through the rest of this. Yeah. Look, do you mind if we do the top 15 comments at the end? Do you mind if I go through these real quick?
That sounds good.
I'm going to read these real quick. So if you're listening to us right now, these are what people said. There was a few answers that Natalie asked, and she said essentially, are there any skills you learned, or are there any positive things that came out of it? Basically, here's what one person said: how relieving it was to be disconnected from all the fast racing things that happen on social media. I want to sidestep for just a second, have a talk with everybody that's listening right now. Students, if you're listening to this, I'm guessing more parents are listening to this. That's usually how it works. Parents, students are looking for a reason to put their phones down. Students are relieved when they say, hey, I'm taking your phone away. We're detoxing. Put your phone in that thing. And they may feel the effects of this not good stuff. But if you force them to delete Instagram and you give them a reason to put it away, a lot of students will say and have said to us, I felt good about this. I need structure, and people are begging for that structure sometimes. People are begging for someone to give them permission to do what's best for them. So look at this student. I'm relieved at how that being disconnected from all the fast racing thing. That is just a hidden person saying, I love the structure. Just for a little while, I'm putting words, I'm speaking for them, but I think it's safe to say that. I saw a lot of stress. The next person said that I saw a lot of the stress and comparison came from social media. I got a lot of things done faster without distractions. I felt more refreshed and like I had a lot more time on my hands. I noticed the instinct of hitting the button on my apps happened involuntarily. I can't tell you how much this hits home for me, and this hits home for every adult. And if they think, oh, no, it's not an addiction, I'll be the first to say, and I work in this industry, that hitting my email inbox or my Instagram is just too much. And that's why I'm going to hit a detox this summer and just refresh my life. And I'm going to take that leap of faith. I hope more people will join. Less procrastination and more focus on responsibilities. The skill I gained was balance. That's what one other student said, a balance between being on my phone and doing productive activities. This is something that has been an issue for me with spending hours and hours of my time on social media instead of doing work. I have to tell you, whoever filled this out, you have lots of friends in this, because I feel the same. I think students all over the country feel the same. I think Natalie sees students at her school. This is a normal human thing. I think that I'll work on maintaining that balance between productivity and entertainment, and that will allow me to achieve more in my free time. So true. Students, if you feel this way, parents, if you're seeing this in kids, you are normal. This is sugar, it's a drug, and I love ice cream, but it really does have to be a balance. Another student says, I deepened my relationship with my grandparents by learning of their heritage at dinners that I would have usually been on my phone during that time. I love this, and that is so powerful. And that's something that I think this is really powerful. I strengthened my relationship with somebody that was like a grandfather figure years ago doing this very same thing, learned about his World War II time, and have an amazing relationship with that family because of this. And I suggest this 100%. I was fine without it, said another student. I felt there was less drama with some people at school, says another student, not knowing what others had been up to or posted on social media as they couldn't post or see it. How powerful is that? I felt that it deepened my relationship with my family. I'm always hanging out in my room before dinner and after dinner. I'm doing my homework. Without using social media, I got to spend much more time with my family and really deepen my relationship with them. Another student says, I was fine without it. Another student says, I got annoyed less. I love that. Next, conversations increased. I had to communicate with text. And this is interesting, right? Natalie, you could probably attest to this. Does it mean that you're in a hole less social? Were you less social during your detox?
No, no, of course not. You found myself talking more and texting more. That was it.
Texting more and talking on the phone more. And parents, if your kids are listening to this right now, it's really old school, but most people under the age of 30 hate talking on the phone. Natalie, do any of your friends call you?
No.
No, they text, right?
Yeah.
But to get a job, guess what the older generation wants the younger generation to do?
Talk on their phone.
Be able to talk on the phone, right? And I know it's a weird skill, but the detox, I think someday I'm going to give you a little hint, Natalie, of what I'm working on. I want to teach people how to shake hands and smile, have eye contact, and take a detox all at the same time. That's going to blow minds, and people are going to be like, this is crazy. But I think that the introduction and saying hello and being able to talk in person is just something really, really powerful. So conversations increased. I had to communicate with text. Someday it would be really refreshing to say, I talked on the phone. It was super awkward, but I got more comfortable talking on the phone with people. While I was doing the detox, I figured out that I usually waste most of my time just surfing through different social media accounts rather than finishing my priorities. While doing homework last week, I was able to finish my homework faster than usual. I noticed I got at least an extra 30 minutes of sleep, somebody said. That's amazing. Did you gain a new skill? Somebody wrote, I was finally able to learn how to cook macaroons or make macaroons. That's because I was able to get my homework done sooner, which I think is interesting. I mean, just being able to do something, right, that you'll never lose, that skill. All right, we're wrapping it up here. Natalie, this is amazing. This is really, really cool. I'm so proud of you, and you've done such a great job. Talk to us real quick. What would you tell people that are a school or somebody else that's considering doing this?
Well, last podcast, you did ask me a question that I didn't have a good answer for. And so I really thought about that question. And it was, why should I participate? And so I eventually came up with 3 reasons. First one being, can you do it? Can you physically challenge yourself to log off from social media for just a week? Second reason being, we all know the positive benefits of social media and are just now coming to terms with a lot of the negative impacts of social media. And so by taking a step back, we can gain that perspective on balance and moderation. And I actually had a lot of people come up to me during the detox and express all these new findings that they had. And the third being, my initial data showed that the majority of people said they feel good or happy while they were on social media. But then I said that I thought that they would feel better after the social media digital detox, which has clearly been proved by the contrast between feeling happy and feeling more productive and feeling satisfied after and before the detox. So
that's amazing. I just shared your answers there on the screen as well as you went through them. Very well thought through. You really did a great job with this. And Natalie, you've helped a lot of people. I mean, just think about that one person that said, I learned more about my grandparents and their heritage. That one family is changed for the future in a good way. Nobody ever said, I learned more about my grandparents. No, it is wonderful. That's a great thing. And they can never take that back. That's because of you. If any other parents are listening, this is something you can do in a family, in a household. There is a way to talk to all the kids around, motivate your kids to do it, give them an incentive. Hey, we'll go do this, or whatever your kids want. Use that in a positive way to let's do things. I mean, humans need an incentive. Natalie gave an incentive at their school. They got credit. They got all this really cool stuff, and the school went along with it. The schools, if you're looking to do this, we might do this in the fall, and it might be a little bit difficult, but I think we're going to do this. I'm going to do one over the summer. I'm going to encourage a bunch of my friends to do it with me, and then we're probably going to do it again in the fall for our community at smartsocial.com. Natalie, I want to thank you for your time today. You're awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great conversation.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Those of you that are listening and learning, you can learn more at smartsocial.com. Please rate, review, subscribe, no matter where you're watching, listening, or learning with us on. Every month, we have a brand new deep dive class for our community. It's about $10 a month, $10 to $15 a month. We dive in deep, whether it's how to use a password manager and how to save your family from ever getting hacked, to all about how to detox, and then all kinds of other things. Really, some of the ways to talk better, how to interview, how to build a website. We're going to do this with Natalie. We're going to build her an amazing website that says, here, I'm Natalie. I'm going to put my best foot forward for her dream school. We're not going to give away her dream school, but we're going to make sure she shines for every school that she wants to apply. You see, we have something, parents, I want you to think about. There's safety, and that's really important, and that's where it all starts. Then there's the soft skills of talking with people, dialoguing, and making sure that you're planning your future. And then the last thing that I want you to think about doing is shining online. So safety, soft skills, and shining online. And that's where we use social media as a tool. And that's where we start building a resume. We start messaging ourselves, our brand. Right? I used to work at Walt. I got the opportunity at a young age to learn from the smartest marketers at Walt Disney Studios, how they brand things in the brand marketing division. And we want to make your student an awesome product. Hey, here I am. I do this, here's my activities, and just put their best foot forward. And that's really where we see social media going, is leaning into it a little bit, saying, let's use this, let's be our authentic self, and let's do some good stuff with it. So parents, make sure you're safe with it, and then you build some soft skills, but then also let's lean into it as early as middle school and start building that website. Natalie, you're awesome. I'm excited. We're going to build a website for you, and if it's okay, we're going to share a podcast all about how we did that. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
We're going to use you in a positive way and build your resume up. Thanks to everybody listening to this. I'm so honored. As you can tell, we're very passionate about what we do, teaching people how to keep it light, bright, and polite. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for everybody for listening. See you soon.